Next, we're going to take a look at a couple of things in the book that you're going to need to do. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is going to be on page 162 and page 163. And that is regarding the magic wand tool. If you would, let's go ahead and open the hummingbird image out of your folder. So go File, Browse in Bridge, and select Hummingbird. Now, if I select the magic wand tool, you'll see up here we have tolerance. And tolerance can range from 0 to 255, and that refers to the amount of pixels in which are going to be affected by clicking the magic wand. So watch what happens if I select 5 for tolerance. It's very selective on the pixels that it's going to choose. I'm going to select Command D, and now I'm going to change that number to 55 and click in roughly the same area, and we see a much larger area being selected. Now, what if I select 150? I'm going to Command D to deselect, have tolerance set at 150, and almost the entire image is selected. Command D to deselect, and if I put in 255, and then click on the image, the entire thing is selected. So the higher the number, the more pixels that it's going to select. Okay? So if you're having a hard time with using the magic wand tool because too much of the image is being selected, go up here and look at your tolerance. Maybe put that on about 40, Command D to deselect, and then do your selection. And sometimes that can help matters. Again, contiguous will mean whether or not pixels are all touching or not. In the Ferris wheel, we did not want contiguous selected because we wanted to be able to select areas within each of the Ferris wheel spots. They weren't all going to be touching. Now, I would like to draw your attention to page numbers 187 and 188. Go ahead and deselect, Command D. And you're going to actually use this hummingbird image here to create 4F. And you're going to follow the steps on pages 187, 1 through 3 on page 187, refining the edge, and 188, which has 4 through 7. So you're going to do 1 through 7. And this is actually an extremely important part of the book. I strongly, again, recommend you read the chapter. And for 4F, you're going to do these steps, 1 through 7 on page 187 to 188. Make sure you rename all the layers, describing what happened within them, or what they are, if it's a fill layer, etc. Duplicate your background layer before you get started on following the directions. So the first step will be Command J or Control J. When you're completed, you're going to go File, Save As, and this is 4G. Your last name, _ hummingbird. Save it in Chapter 4 folder and move forward. So you're going to follow those directions on your own. For H, you're going to follow the directions on quick masking. And quick masking is another important part of being able to make selections. And that is found on page 193. So turn to page 193 in your book, and then you're going to open the Forget-Me-Not image in your folder, and you are going to do a quick mask on the Forget-Me-Not image. And quick mask, again, is discussed at the bottom of page 193 and part of page 194. Essentially, you're going to open your image, make a duplicate of the background layer, go up to Select. You're going to select Edit in Quick Mask mode, and you're going to select the entire flower and all of the stems, and you're going to place them in the mask. You're going to mask them out. Okay, so you're selecting once again the flower and all of the stems here. And that's found on page 193 and 194. Essentially what you'll do is you'll use a brush and you'll paint out the Forget-Me-Nots. This is time consuming, and I realize that. The only way to get better at making selections is to have to make a bunch of selections. So you're going to sit and you're going to paint all of them out using Quick Mask. Going to undo that. Once you've quick masked all of this out and you have just that selected, I want you to create a new layer with just that mask image. Okay, and then you're going to turn off the background layer. You're going to create a new fill layer named Fill. You're going to fill that with the color of your choice. I am going to select this purpley color right here. And so I'm going to fill that there. Only the Forget-Me-Not will be shown. And then you're going to select the fill mask layer that you've renamed Forget-Me-Not. And you're going to create a shape which will make its own new layer on top of this fill layer. So go ahead and select the fill layer again. Select rectangle or rounded rectangle, your choice. Click to create the rectangle, and if I turn off this Forget-Me-Not layer, we'll be able to see it. Make sure the rectangle is the exact same color as what you filled in your fill layer. And now you're going to click to select the rectangle, so Command click. And you're going to add a stroke up here. So add a stroke to your selection of, again, the stroke is going to be 3 points. If you put the wrong point in to begin with, you can look in your properties panel. As long as you still have your selection and everything else the same, you can go in and you can change your slider or your number, either one, to reflect the correct point size, which is again 3. Click off. And once you have your Forget-Me-Nots masked out, it's important to note that you have to finish your quick mask before you create your rectangle and your fill. Otherwise, you're going to have issues. So, before you create your fill layer, before you create your rectangle layer, you have to do your quick mask and create your selection of the flowers first. And this wraps up Chapter 4 on selections. And next you'll be looking at understanding channels in Chapter 5.